Let's be honest. This sucks, and it's not going away.
So there was a poll we did from Feldman on Monday, and I don't remember what the 3 questions were, but the middle one was crying but fine. Mm-hmm. And I think it was Kenny. Wasn't it one of the polls that Neil thought was balanced out? People were taking it in all different ways. I think what you mentioned is the hangover. Right? You're supposed to absorb this, just like we're supposed to absorb the good ones, absorb the bad ones, figure out where we're at, and then now we're in solution part, right? Just like the part of the hangover. What are you going to do now 3 days later? You're going to get ready for what, Sean? To do it again.
Jump right back on the horse, baby.
Jump right back on the horse. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, and we can feel sorry about ourselves or whatever. As a fan base, you're allowed to because, sure as shit, they ain't feeling sorry for themselves in Allen Park. A lot of different guys speaking out. And what I love when guys talk with accountability, then they go out and perform. Biggest thing this weekend, KG brought it up. This team hasn't lost back-to-back games in 2.5 years. That is what this team is all about. So with everything more or less against them, with the impact of the injury list and the impact, I think that the biggest difference, right, is that there's season-ending injuries.
Yep.
Right, season-ending, where guys are, you're gone, right, you off the island. This survivor, you're off the island.
Yep.
Right, for this year. Now there's a couple, guys that you might get back, but this is what you're going to have to deal with. And, thinking about, the hangover subsides, right? It got a little bit easier last night, right? It was easier than Sunday night, was easier than Monday. And you look back and, you know what? Josh Allen played a game against us, and then I look and I go, wow, we were trying to piece that defense together even against the MVP loading. Right. So I mean, you got thrown right into the fire. You're going against Caleb Williams, who, as Neil tells you, is at the opposite end of the spectrum. That Neil says he's done. He's put him away. So if that's the case, let's go out and see what we got. So different opportunity for guys to step up.
I have been scared shitless, and I've said this for weeks doing shows here. I have been scared shitless of this game at Soldier Field. I have. And I'm not so much anymore. I mean that. I'm serious. And I'm not trying to, because listen, I'm not one of those guys, well, next man up. No, this is so far beyond next man up. Stick next man up your ass. Honestly, this is so beyond next man up what they're dealing with right now. But for people out there that don't remember, that have the short memory, they lost an inexplicable game to the Bears last year at Soldier Field. Almost lost both of them against the Bears last year. I'm not worried about a letdown against that Bears team, Mac. If the Lions had found a way to win that game against the Bills, I think I'd be scared crapless about it. Okay, the Bears somehow I don't think that they're going to let that happen against this Bears team, especially if you watch them on Monday night. And again, I'm not taking anything away from the Vikings. KG, you've been with me. This was one area where our paths, Neil and I, have gone in two different directions.
Yeah.
When you start out the way that the Vikings did, the chances are you're going to make the playoffs. And I thought they'd make the playoffs, and they're going to make the playoffs. How dangerous are they? I guess we'll find out. But I'm not taking anything away from the Vikings. The Bears are awful. They're a disaster, and Caleb's a disaster. And this goes back to the beginning of the year. I am sorry. I have watched rookie quarterbacks struggle in this league way more often than not. And if somebody wants to bring up an exception to the rule, that's great. For every CJ Stroud, I can bring up 10 Caleb Williams. And so this is one of those games, Mac, and looking ahead, because we are allowed that luxury in the sports media, okay? I know the guys don't want to look ahead. The fan base doesn't want to look ahead. Hey, guys, listen, this is one of those things where now all of a sudden scoreboard watching is a little important, because we should, key and operative word, should take care of business against Chicago and against Frisco. We should, okay? Maybe the Commanders do us a solid. Maybe the Commanders knock off the Eagles.
Maybe the Packers do us a solid.
Maybe the Packers knock off the Vikings. If that happens, well, then that goes back to the point you were just saying, Mac. Okay, you get that bye week, that first week, maybe you get a couple bodies back. Maybe Anzalone's back. Maybe I heard the heavyweights talking about it last night. Maybe that freak of nature, Aiden Hutchinson, says, Okay, dude, I'm cool. Let's ready to go. So there are reinforcements that possibly could be coming. It's not in mass, but there are reinforcements that could possibly be coming. But you got to take care of it. Look, go out there and beat a bad team. The Bears are waiting to be beaten. They really are.
It's the perfect storm in who you're playing against for a lot of reasons. If you caught Spencer Raxter and Easy on the heavyweights yesterday, they brought it up. You got a California kid that Neil sits up here and talks about Caleb Williams, and when it's sunny and it's nice out in USC and everything's going good, the kid can spin it. But we got to play in Chicago in December, right, at home. What'd you say, Easy or Spenny going to be bundled up, glove? I mean, does anybody, like, going after facing, I look at it like you just faced Martin Brodeur, right, in a series, and now you got to face, I don't know, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but you're going in to face
Stuart Skinner.
Well, I never played against him, but point being made, right? We're again the goaltender who can win. Or we used to face Patrick Wall. That's a bad example too.
John Casey.
There you go. Like a John Casey. We're gonna let John Casey beat you in double overtime, or like that is the mentality. I would think, too, is that you look on the other side and say, who's the quarterback? You're gonna let this kid beat you?
Right.
Not a chance, right? This is a great setup. So right now, the focal point to whoever's available in that room is this a 3-game season? Because what you said, what you're playing for, nothing's changed as far as you holding that number 1 playoff seeding if you take care of your business and win it. It's going to come down to that last game against Minnesota. We all know that, right? But you got to take care of business this week. The biggest thing that you got to see is starting the game, right? Because if I go back to all the games this season, what is the one criticism that I have is that you haven't started on time consistently, right? So being on the road after what happened last week with the guys that you have, with the coaching staff you have, and the focus, right? I love it. I love it. Sometimes you need to get punched in the mouth and embarrassed. So I think that Dan Campbell took it personally, and all these players take it personally. But again, fact is, you're going to play this rookie quarterback. And to your point about that, it seems that one of them out of a draft class rises above. Last year, C.J. Stroud. This year, Jaden Daniels, right? And I think that Washington team could beat this Eagles team. I think this Green Bay is going to put up a great fight against Minnesota. All we got to worry about is taking care of business. And are we going to allow the Chicago Bears to get in our way? How many times you heard in a post Dan Campbell or in a dressing room conversation, these guys were in our way. They were in our way. We just took care of business of who's in our way to what we want to accomplish. That's all it is.
And guys like you and I hate the Bears. I say it all the time, Mac. Like our generation, the Bears were what we wanted the Lions to be. We wouldn't admit it back then. I wanted that swagger that the Bears had. I wanted the Mike Ditka. I wanted the success that they had. And yes, they only won 1 Super Bowl, but year in, year out, they just came in and they were the bully. So for me, I hate the Bears. I know the younger generation, the guys in here, you guys all hate the Packers, and I totally get it. But your Packers were our Bears, Mac. When we were kids, man, I fucking hated the Bears. I hate the Bears to this day because of it. I really do.
But Sean, to your point, right? Are we not that Bears team, and they are not our Lions team with the mistakes and the false start
100.
Penalties and not reporting and doing dumb things, right? We flopped, right? What we're seeing with the attitude and the mentality and the punch in your face of this Detroit Lions is everything that, as a kid, that we wanted because we saw with that Walter Payton, Mike Singletary, Dick football team.
McMahon and the gosh damn headband.
So guess what, Sean? That's what I'm saying. So for all of us Gen Xers that have suffered through the 80s and 90s watching our teams get pounded by the Bears, not on the scoreboard, but in the trenches too. Can we get a little payback for my buddy Sean on his birthday? Or not his birthday, on Christmas season? Can we give the holidays to Sean? Can we just go out, punch them in the mouth a few times and let everybody know, you know what, we may be down men, but we're coming. Doesn't matter. Next man up.
Yeah. By the way, we do have a special guest. We're going to introduce him in a second. And I guess he's going to be joining the wrestling circuit with Mac. He doesn't know it yet, but he's got a perfect wrestling name, and he's going to be joining the circuit.
It's his wrestling name, I'm for sure. I want to know what his real name. What is your government name, sir?
Right.
Your government name.
He lying to us for sure.
But pretty cool thing. Mac, how about this dude? Like honestly, maybe we should be asking his opinion after he nailed this. So he nailed the correct score of the Lions-Packer game, nailed who would score the first touchdown, and who would score the last points. Did I get that right? Yeah. You're a warlock. How the hell did you nail all that, dude?
I told him he should have ran the fan duel and doubled up.
Right?
He missed the opportunity there, but it is
that
what
was
it
a
is.
double. That's an absolute double nut. But we are going to be talking to him momentarily. Of course, Bucks win the NBA Cup. I got to get that out there. Kirk Cousins benched. Did you watch that game? Did any of you guys waste any time watching that game on Monday?
No, we know the Falcons are fraudulent.
That Raiders-Falcons game?
I was watching the Minnesota Bears game, but the other one was on the background because they had the score. But, just what?
Holy shit, was that bad? Just an awful football. And it's funny because this goes back to what, Mac, when we were growing up, the Lions on at 1 o'clock were the JV game. Okay, right. We were the JV game. Whether we want to admit it or not, we were the JV game. And then you saw the Eagles and the Redskins at 4. You saw the Cowboys and the Niners at 4. Whatever the case may be, we had 2 JV games on Monday night. And that's not the Vikings' fault. I mean, the Bears were that bad. They were 2 just awful football games. And what a mess, because you think back early in the year, a lot of people, and I sheepishly put my hand up, were like, man, things are in place for the Falcons to make a little run. If Kirk Cousins is just normal Kirk Cousins, they might be able to do some things. It just fell apart, Matt.
Spenny, can I ask you, because I did see the stat line where Bijan Robinson was 22 for 125 or whatever like that. Is he low-key having a good... is he carrying, because if Cousins is getting benched and the ineptitude of it, is he are we missing? Is he having a better season than I think he is?
He's having a damn good season.
He's having a pretty good season. He's over 1,000 yards. It's what you expect out of him. It's not like mind-blowing his numbers, but he's doing well.
They got Algier there too?
Yeah.
So, that's a pretty decent, am I not right? Decent 1-2 backfield. But aren't the Falcons just expected a little bit more, or is this
I thought,
or is this Kirk Cousins being Kirk Cousins?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
I think so. I mean, honestly, I thought, and we should all know by now, the Falcons have fooled people for a long, long time. They're one of those kind of fraudulent franchises. But I kind of thought with their schedule and with that division being what it is, they might be the de facto, playoff representative, and they might be a cute little team, and they're a mess. They're a mess.
They got some things to figure out coaching wise, but I think we always kind of knew, when they signed him to that 4-year deal, okay, cool. But then they turn around and draft Michael Penix. And once you start putting all the equations together, you're like, this is no way this is going all 4 years, man. And they can save a lot of money post June 1st if they decide to dump him at that point. So I think that may be the strategy going forward. Either way, you can't expect to see Kirk Cousins more than 2 years with the Falcons at this point. They're going to dump him. They know what their future is. Their future is Michael Penix, and that was always going to